All right, all right. So we are forward. We're here, we're here, we're here. Let me do this. Just a moment. Welcome, welcome. Check my sounds. Give me just a moment, you all. Let me get some technical things together because the previous stream got suspended. So just this is part two. So just a moment. Thank you. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. So we are here, we are here, we are here. Let's do this. Let's take that. All right, let's get me back on the screen. Let's get me back on the screen. How about that? How about that? Let's do that. Here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang, bang. And I'm here again. Yes, you all. So I was streaming an interview with Richard Williams that apparently had some copyright attached to it, and they suspended and stopped the stream. So I decided to come back forward on, and do a part two. And what I'll do, just in case they suspend that broadcast or don't allow it to be seen, I'm going to just do a quick recap because I've done 4 broadcasts today with all my different channels. And so it's going on 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I think it's time to, stop it for the evening. So we're going until about 11. And so what we were doing is that we were paying homage to the great Venus Williams and what she was doing. And so I'll play just a little snippet of the man's interview, and fair use. Wishfully they don't, cut it again. But I'm just going to share my screen and just play a little bit of this particular interview. I was giving credit where credit was due. And this is from this is Richard Williams on Raising Champions Q with Tom Power, and this interview in itself is with Piya Chattopadhyay to discuss his memoir of the black and white book, which chronicles his extraordinary life and his relationship with daughters and tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams. This interview is from 2014, so it's over 8.5 years mature. And it was just talking about his life and his background. So if we can just play a few minutes of it, that'd be great. Just to hear him talking about his life, even if it's one question and answer.
Just congratulations on this book. And I want to ask you about your decision to tell your story now. Why did it feel like the right time?
Actually, that's a great question. Serena had been pushing me to put my book out. My son had been pushing me to put my book out. And I thought it would be a great time to tell people about me, because I think people had the wrong conception, idea about me. And I thought this would be a great time. And so about 2 years ago, we started putting the material back together to put it out.
Okay.
So there you have it. So that's all that we're going to play with this particular interview. It's very potent. And, I don't know if, the algorithm got wind of it, or somebody who was watching didn't like the content that was being expressed. Either me giving further context about, when you get an opportunity, go ahead and watch this interview on your own. It's very potent. Richard is talking about his life and growing up in Shreveport, Louisiana, and the racism that he faced and the challenges that he faced. just some really horrific, terroristic things that he experienced by way of, quote unquote white extremists, or the Klan, and just Caucasian people in general back in those days, at that time. And so he just gets into his childhood and his inspirations, and his main one being his mother, and what she instilled in him, and strength and determination and smarts, and him observing her. He learned so much, and how to be smart, by observing her as a woman. And yeah, so he moved from the South to the North, and he came to find out that Chicago was even worse off than what he was experiencing racism wise than in Shreveport, Louisiana. And I was, in the previous broadcast, I was sharing how there's this misconception that the North is not as racist, and that they didn't have slavery, and so blacks could go there and have a better life and better opportunity. Now, that's true overall. However, there are several examples, not exceptions to the rule. There are several examples of that not being the case. And Richard Williams touches on that in this particular interview. And I can point to another case in terms of, the African burial ground that is in New York City, that proves that, there were enslaved Africans in the North, in New York, who were attempting to create a better way or survive enslavement, and then make a way for themselves outside of enslavement. And how, they had a burial ground that is where Wall Street and the World Trade Center is, in downtown Manhattan. And Manhattan is considered to be the financial capital of the world, definitely of the US. And so that place had enslavement of African people in the North. Deep history, Wall Street, what was going on there, and the story that broke just over 30 years ago about the burial ground and how it came about and what was going on there 30 years ago. Venus has been playing for about 30 years. I've been watching tennis for about 30 years. So 30, 30, 30 is in the air. The number 9 is in the air. And happy Black Future Month, happy Black History Month, happy Black Future Month. And so this particular broadcast, we're paying homage to the man who a year ago, the film that was done on his life, that's called King Richard, won best, it won an Oscar, rightfully so. And we're just celebrating the man a year later, sending him good health and healing. Wish for him to be doing well, as he is a juggernaut of sport and media and parenthood. So we're paying some homage to the great Richard Williams, King Richard. And it's just a very fascinating interview that he goes into, and what it is he shares. And then he gets into raising his daughters and being a husband, and all of what transpired, in the raising of his daughters, but also in their careers, what they had to experience and what he had to experience alongside with them, and, fighting on their behalf. So it's a really fascinating story. It's not just him sharing about his life, but it's really a piece of American history, and a piece of foundational Black American history, and what it is we go through and have went through in this country. He grew up picking cotton, and Venus and Serena are my peers in age, and my mother grew up picking cotton as well. So here we have people who are going into their 80s or in their early 80s, who grew up picking cotton in this country as a way of life. And so the past is not that far behind us that, than we may think. And so ways of being take a bit more time to go away, and need to be stamped out, because they're still very present. So it's a deep interview. So I just wanted to play a little bit about, with the man talking in his own words. Is really riveting when you hear him speak. And unfortunately, the previous, stream got suspended. So in case they take it down, I just wanted to provide a recap of what it is we were discussing and watching. It was such good information and such good commentary that I think I was providing. And unfortunate that, even by way of fair use, we weren't able to complete it the way that we wanted to. But that is that. We move onward with no delay. And let's do this. Let's go back to we want to go to a match that Venus. Let's do this. Where's it at? Venus Williams, Auckland. Now, this is on the tennis channel, and it's also, it's on the WTA's YouTube website, and it's also on the Tennis Insider's website. And so we want to watch some from the Tennis Insider website, but we do want to give credit where credit is due. And you can see Venus actually caught wind that they had put it up on the site, and you can read her comment there. Thanks for uploading this ×3, and I've already liked it. So and that is Venus's actual account. I already clicked on it in the previous broadcast. That takes you to her YouTube page. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe. You can see I've subscribed, and she has tons of videos and content up here. She has tennis lessons that she's teaching you, talking about her life as well, and where she's at in her career, and which is what it is, she's working on in life overall. So pretty awesome YouTube channel. So we're going to watch some of these points. Now, this is Venus Williams at age 42 in her 30th season on tour. And before I did the broadcast, I was doing some research, and I was trying to find out which professional sports athlete played the most years. And, the search engine was trying to say it was some hockey player. And then they, mentioned Willie Mays and baseball. Based upon what I have researched and seen and what I know, Venus Williams has played the longest out of any professional athlete in sports history. She's on her 30th year. Now, you may say it's 29 and a half, not 30th yet, but people have come close. But to play 30 years on a tournament, or not on a tournament, on tour, which means 30 years in a row, is just truly phenomenal. So this was a match that I had forgotten about. It had fallen off my radar. So I got wind that she was getting a wild card into this tournament, to start the year. This tournament was about exactly a month ago. I think it was January 9th to the 14th and this is in Auckland, New Zealand. And so I had heard about the wild card, and I wanted to see how she would do in her first round, but it just got off my radar because of other things in life that I was focusing in on. And then the Australian Open came, and that was that. But this is a match of Katie Volinet's USA, who's a compatriot of Venus Williams, also from the USA. 2023 ASB Classic. Now, was it called Classic because it was a classic match, or that's the name of the tournament? But it's round 1. So, and anybody, let's just watch a little bit. No sound. Let's just watch a little bit.
Venus.
Fair use. If you are back in the chat and you were the same people who were watching the broadcast prior, the stream got suspended and stopped because apparently, I don't know if somebody flagged it or I had content that was copywritten and didn't have permission. So that's why the stream ended so suddenly. Let's play a little bit of audio here. Got to hear the great Queen Venus Williams' Ebony Stars roar. This was a very, very competitive match. Fair use. Venus, for her to be able to still move around the court the way that she is 30 years in is just truly phenomenal. This is one of those points.
Training ground exercise there.
And this is something special about a brown-skinned woman being dressed in purple attire. It just does something to me. It's just a great combination. The scoreboard is purple. Her opponent also has on pink purple shoes. So it's just great to see this juggernaut of sport out there, just still playing and still giving it her all. So proud of her. So proud of her. So we're just scrolling through to get some highlights. This was a quality match. It went to a tie break. I think this was a very, very close point. Let's go back a little bit. Watch a little bit of it. Fair use.
It's all about being aggressive in tie breaks.
Quality player. Very competitive match.
Oh, she made it.
So, they weren't sure if that was in or out. And it turns out that it was actually in, because it skidded off the line. And that's why it looked as such. So that's that. Let's move forward a little bit. Let's move forward just a little bit. We're getting somewhere. We're going somewhere.
There it is.
So Venus won the first set, and then the second set was a little bit less competitive. As you can see, Venus had the opportunity to potentially bagel her opponent, or at least breadstick her, but she didn't. But this is match point right here, if I'm correct.
And in her 30th year on the Homage WTA Tour, Venus Williams begins her 2023 campaign off on a super note. She takes out,
So yeah,
in straight sets, a popular figure here at the ASP Classic.
so that is the great Miss Venus Williams with the twirl. So that is that. Now I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Well, I'll leave Venus up. But yeah, I just think it's very important to highlight the contributions of foundational Black Americans to the sport, because that's what this particular channel is about. It's Soul Power Tennis. Soul Power Tennis. And I'm Akhmoseari, so welcome. I've been listening to a lot of James Brown today. So if you want to know where the name Soul Power comes from, you got to get into soul music. You got to get into funk. You got to start with, James Brown, Soul Brother #1. And soul power is a thing. Not everybody has it or can achieve it. So saying all that to say that this is Black Future Month, Black History Month, Black Herstory Month. And, we want to put a different spin on things, but also highlight those who have made a great contribution to the sport of a certain lineage. And why? Because oftentimes, when you talk about opportunity or who can afford to play the game of tennis, as it is a very, very expensive sport and endeavor, when you talk about who can afford to pay for the tickets and the audience, there's not usually that many Black and brown people who are in the audience. Yet and still, you're talking about the greatest potential female tennis player of all time is a Black woman in Serena Williams. And Venus Williams, if not top 5, is top 10 on that list. So you have, these great women who are the best of all time at a sport, yet when they look into the audience and the crowd may not see their likeness. And, on the men's side, you have the great Arthur Ashe and Althea Gibson and so on and so forth. So, me being of the same heritage and lineage as them, I just want to do my part in what I can do to highlight their contributions and their predecessors and talk about what's coming in the future as well. So that's why, this being Black Future, Black History Month, it's important to do this. At least it's important for me. And although other tennis channels may not do it, it is what it is. I'm going to do it because it is an honor to be able to pay homage to the game's greats, such as this woman right here. So let's get her. Let's get a front view of Miss the great Venus Williams. You know, and if you're a tennis lover, essentially 30 years. I mean, me and Venus essentially grew up together. Like I said, 30 years ago, she started playing. I started watching around that time. And, from afar, we went through life together, yet separate. And so she's a peer of mine. She's a comrade in life. And it's just an honor to be in the same era and, time frame in, world history together. And so, pay homage when and where you can. But this is one of our all-time greats and one of our all-time great inspirations and tennis sports stories. So I'm thankful to have paid homage to her and her father and her family, her mother and her sister, and her sisters. But in this particular broadcast, even though the previous broadcast got suspended, this is the quick recap version. Paying homage to King Richard Williams for having his first daughter who went pro in the tennis world, and speaking directly to her, Venus Williams. So the goddess herself, was such an ebony star, which is her name, Venus Ebony Star Williams. So thank you all for tuning in. This has been another broadcast of So Power Tennis. I'm akhmoseari. Tell somebody that happy Black Future Month, especially if you're a Caucasian person. It goes a long way towards equalizing things out in existence. So it would be greatly appreciated if you could do that. And that concludes this broadcast. And this is the fourth one of the day for me, now fifth one of the day. And so it's 11:11, so make sure you make a wish. There you go. So feel free to leave a comment, ask a question before we go out. But in the meantime, please make sure you like, subscribe, share, click the notification bell. I was broadcasting earlier when the Super Bowl came on, and we're broadcasting as the Super Bowl has already completed because this is what we do. This is the work that we do. So, and I appreciate you for being here. So until next time, you are appreciated. And make sure you get a good evening's rest. And make sure you do something that is inspirational to not only yourself, but to, somebody else in your life as well. So it'll go a long way. And with that being said, I'm talking a lot. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Peace. want to come back on and say something real quick. Today has been a very, very special day for me because I literally did a broadcast live on all of my channels. I got 3 channels and I did an additional video that I didn't even release yet. And for this particular topic matter, part 1 and part 2 did 2 broadcasts. So today sets the record for me. I did 5 broadcasts, 5 streams in one day, 4 streams, 5 broadcasts, whatever. I did 4 plus. And so, yeah, it's only happened maybe once before that I did one for each of my channels. And today was that plus more. So I'm excited. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. Stay in gratitude. It's the way to be. All right. Until next time, I'll see ya. Peace.